The 80s were a time when music pushed boundaries like never before. MTV was new, and suddenly songs needed videos, which meant more ways to shock people. Radio stations had standards, religious groups had concerns, and somewhere in between, artists were making music that challenged everything. Some songs were too explicit, some too political, and some just made people uncomfortable. These are the 15 most controversial banned songs of the 1980s. Number 15. Body Language by Queen, 1982. Queen has the distinction of being the first band ever to have a video banned by MTV. Body Language came out in 1982, and the video was basically just sweaty bodies in a locker room shower, wearing very little and moving suggestively. For a brand new network trying to establish itself, it was too much too soon.
Body language. Body language.
The song itself is pretty tame by today's standards, just a funky track about physical attraction. But the video went all in on the concept, and MTV said no. This was before the network had really established what its boundaries were, and Queen's video helped define those lines. The interesting thing is that Queen didn't seem to mind much. They'd pushed boundaries before, and this was just another example. The song wasn't one of their biggest hits anyway, so the ban didn't really hurt them. But it set a precedent that would affect countless artists in the years to come. Number 14. Physical by Olivia Newton-John, 1981. You might remember Physical as a cheerful workout anthem, but a lot of radio stations in 1981 saw it differently. The lyrics were full of suggestive double meanings, and some programmers thought it was too sexual for their audiences. The video didn't help matters, featuring Newton-John in workout gear surrounded by muscular men at a gym. The real controversy came at the end of the video, where two men are shown holding hands and walking away together. This was 1981, and showing a same-sex couple on MTV was considered shocking. Some stations cut that part out, others banned the video entirely. Despite all this, or maybe because of it, the song was huge. It spent 10 weeks at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, becoming one of the biggest hits of the decade. Newton-John went from wholesome Sandy in Grease to provocative pop star, and Physical was the song that made that transformation complete.
Let's get physical, physical.
Number 13. Relax by Frankie, Goes to Hollywood, 1983. This might be the most famous band song of the decade. Relax was everywhere in 1983, and it was obvious to anyone paying attention what the song was really about. BBC Radio 1 DJ Mike Redd famously stopped the song mid-play and declared he wouldn't play it again, claiming it was obscene. The BBC officially banned it, which was the best thing that could have happened to Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Suddenly, everyone wanted to hear this forbidden song. It went to number 1 in the UK and stayed there for 5 weeks. The band's label, ZTT Records, was savvy enough to capitalize on the controversy, even producing t-shirts that said, "Frankie Say Relax." The music video was even more explicit than the song, featuring scenes in a gay nightclub that MTV wouldn't touch. An edited version eventually got some airplay, but the original remains one of the most censored videos of the era. The whole thing made Frankie Goes to Hollywood into a phenomenon, at least for a couple of years. Number 12. I Want to Break Free by Queen, 1984. Queen managed to get banned by MTV twice in 2 years, which is almost impressive. I Want to Break Free featured the band members dressed in drag, parodying a British soap opera called Coronation Street. In the UK, everyone got the joke. In America, MTV saw it as promoting cross-dressing and refused to air it.
I want to break free.
Freddie Mercury, Brian May, Roger Taylor, and John Deacon in wigs and dresses, doing housework, with Mercury famously wearing a leather miniskirt while pushing a vacuum cleaner. It was meant to be funny, a parody that British audiences would immediately recognize. But American audiences didn't have that context, and MTV wasn't interested in taking chances.
I've got to break free.
Brian May later talked about how people's faces would turn ashen when they tried to promote the video in the American Midwest. The ban effectively kept the song from becoming a hit in the US, though it did well everywhere else. Today, the video is seen as an early statement of LGBTQ+ visibility, with the song becoming something of an anthem. Number 11, Like a Prayer, by Madonna, 1989. Madonna had been pushing buttons throughout the decade, but, Like a Prayer, took things to a whole new level. The video featured burning crosses, stigmata, a black Jesus, and Madonna, dancing in front of burning crosses in a slip. The Catholic Church was not happy, and neither were a lot of religious groups. Pepsi had signed Madonna to a sponsorship deal and featured the song in a commercial. After the video came out, they pulled the ad and ended the deal, reportedly paying her the full contract amount just to go away. The Vatican issued a statement condemning the video. MTV got pressure from religious organizations to ban it. But Madonna stood by it, saying it was about her Catholic upbringing and her relationship with faith. The controversy made the song even bigger, and it became one of her most successful singles. Some stations banned it, others edited it heavily, but most ended up playing it because the demand was too high. Number 10, Girls on Film, by Duran, 1981. Duran's breakthrough hit came with a video that was never intended for TV. The uncensored version featured topless women mud wrestling, simulated intimate acts, and imagery that would have gotten them thrown off any television network. The BBC banned it immediately. The band and director Russell Mulcahy knew what they were doing. The video was designed for nightclubs, where it could play on big screens without censorship. It was provocative, stylish, and completely over the top. MTV aired a heavily edited version that cut out most of the controversial content, and even that version pushed boundaries. What's interesting is that the song itself is pretty innocent, just a new wave track about being photographed. But the video turned it into something else entirely, making Girls on Film synonymous with music video controversy. It established Duran as artists who weren't afraid to be provocative, setting the tone for the rest of the decade. Number 9, This Note's for You, by Neil Young, 1988.
This note's for you.
Neil Young has never been one to play by the rules, and in 1988, he took direct aim at corporate sponsorship in music. The song criticized artists who did commercials, and the video parodied famous endorsement deals, including Michael Jackson's Pepsi ad and Whitney Houston's Coca-Cola commercial.
Ain't singing for Pepsi. Ain't singing for Coke.
MTV banned it, not because it was explicit or offensive, but because it made fun of the very advertisers who paid for MTV's existence. The video featured fake beer commercials and mocked the whole concept of selling out. MTV wasn't going to air something that threatened their business model.
This note's for you.
Young wrote an open letter to MTV calling them spineless twerps and asking what the M in MTV stood for, music or money. The publicity worked. Eventually, MTV caved and aired the video, and in 1989, It won their Video of the Year award. It's one of the few times an artist successfully fought back against MTV censorship and won.
Don't want no money, ain't got no style.
Number 8. Oh Pretty Woman by Van Halen, 1982. Van Halen's cover of Roy Orbison's classic should have been straightforward, but the video was anything but. The band members dressed up as a samurai, Tarzan, a cowboy, and Napoleon, and the plot involved them rescuing a woman being tied up by two dwarves. The whole thing was bizarre and uncomfortable. MTV looked at the video and decided it was degrading and offensive. The imagery of the woman in distress, the questionable depiction of little people, and the general weirdness all added up to something the network didn't want to air. The video got banned, which didn't really hurt Van Halen since they had plenty of other hits. Looking back, it's easy to see why MTV made that call. The video hasn't aged well, and even at the time, it was pushing boundaries of taste. But it's also a reminder of how different standards were in the early 80s, and how much has changed since then. Number 7. Hot for Teacher by Van Halen, 1984. Van Halen makes this list twice, which tells you something about their approach to music videos. Hot for Teacher was controversial for obvious reasons. The video featured young boys fantasizing about their attractive teacher, with plenty of suggestive imagery that made MTV uncomfortable. The network limited it to late-night rotation, not wanting to air it during the day, when younger viewers might see it. The whole concept of students being attracted to a teacher was problematic enough, but Van Halen added in scantily clad dancers and made it as provocative as possible. Despite the controversy, or again, probably because of it, the song became one of Van Halen's biggest hits. The video is memorable, the song is catchy, and the combination of both made it iconic. But it also showed how artists were learning that controversy could be a marketing tool, not just a problem to avoid. Number 6. Mötley Crüe, Girls, 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 1987. Mötley Crüe built their career on being shocking, so it's no surprise they ended up on this list. The Girls, Girls, Girls video featured the band in an actual strip club, with actual dancers, and MTV said absolutely not. The video got banned for showing nudity, even though they'd shot it knowing full well no network would air it. The song is about exactly what you think it's about, and the video doesn't try to hide it. Mötley Crüe wanted to celebrate that lifestyle, and they weren't going to tone it down for television. So MTV banned it, the band released it anyway on home video, and it became one of their most popular tracks. It's the kind of thing that defined 80s hair metal, excess, rebellion, and a complete disregard for what mainstream media thought was acceptable. Mötley Crüe wasn't trying to get on MTV. They were trying to be Mötley Crüe, and if that meant getting banned, so be it. Number 5. Self-Control by Laura Branigan, 1984. Laura Branigan's Self-Control had a video directed by William Friedkin, the man who made The Exorcist. He brought that same dark, atmospheric style to the video, which featured Branigan being led through nightclubs full of debauchery, masked figures, suggestive dancing, and an overall mood that was too intense for MTV's daytime programming. The network required heavy editing before they'd air it, cutting out most of the more provocative imagery. Even the edited version had this dark, almost sinister vibe that stood out from other videos at the time. The full director's cut didn't air on MTV until years later. The song itself is about losing control to desire, and Friedkin's video illustrated that perfectly. Too perfectly for broadcast television in 1984. But the controversy helped make the song a top 5 hit, proving once again that getting banned could sometimes be good for business. Number 4. Spasticus Autisticus by Ian Dury and the Blockheads, 1981.
I'm Spasticus, I'm Spasticus, I'm Spasticus, Autisticus, I'm Spasticus.
Here's one that got banned for very different reasons. Ian Dury had suffered from polio as a child and spent his life dealing with disability. In 1981, the UN declared it the International Year of Disabled Persons, and Dury felt patronized by the whole thing. So he wrote Spasticus Autisticus in response.
Spasticus, I'm Spasticus, I'm Spasticus, Autisticus, I'm Spasticus.
The song was aggressive, confrontational, and used language that made people uncomfortable. Dury wasn't interested in being inspirational or polite. He was angry, and the song reflected that. The BBC banned it immediately, saying it was offensive.
I'm Spasticus, I'm Spasticus, I'm Spasticus, Autisticus, I'm Spasticus.
Dury argued that as someone with a disability, he had the right to write about his experience however he wanted. But the BBC disagreed, and the song never got mainstream airplay in the UK. It's a complicated case because it raises questions about who gets to decide what's offensive and whether lived experience gives someone the right to use certain language.
Spastics, Spasticus, Spasticus, Autisticus.
Number 3. Even though Pink Floyd's Another Brick in the Wall had tackled similar themes, Rainbow's more direct visual approach got them banned. The song itself is solid hard rock, and the video's message about oppressive education wasn't exactly revolutionary. But it was direct enough that MTV didn't want to deal with it. The band shrugged it off and moved on. But it showed how even seemingly straightforward rock videos could run into censorship issues. Number 2. Der Kommissar by After the Fire, 1983. This one's interesting because it got banned in some places not for content, but for political reasons. Der Kommissar was a cover of an Austrian song, and the German lyrics and Cold War themes made some programmers nervous. The song is about police state surveillance, which in 1983, at the height of Cold War tensions, was a sensitive subject. Some radio stations, particularly in conservative markets, either refused to play it or edited out references that seemed too political. The song became a hit anyway, reaching the top 10 in the US, but its journey to the charts wasn't smooth. It's a reminder that controversy in the 80s wasn't just about sex and violence. Politics could get you banned too, especially when those politics touched on subjects people were genuinely worried about. After the Fire got caught in that, and while they handled it fine, it definitely affected how the song was received. Number 1. If I Could Turn Back Time by Cher, 1989. Cher closed out the decade with one of the most controversial videos of the era. She filmed If I Could Turn Back Time on a battleship, surrounded by sailors, wearing an outfit that was basically a barely there black bodysuit with strategic cutouts. MTV took one look and decided it could only air late at night. The outfit became infamous, with Cher basically wearing fishing net and very little else. The network restricted it to after 9 p.m., not wanting to deal with complaints from parents whose kids saw it during the day. Cher later said she understood why the video caused such a fuss, but she also felt it was a bit hypocritical, given some of the things MTV was already airing. The late-night-only restriction just made more people want to see it. The controversy helped push the song to number 3 on the charts, and it became one of Cher's signature hits. It also set the stage for even more provocative videos in the 1990s, proving that boundaries were constantly shifting. Looking back at these songs, a few patterns emerge. Some got banned for sexual content, some for politics, some for religious imagery, and some just for being weird or uncomfortable. What's fascinating is how many of these bans actually helped the artists. Getting banned by MTV or the BBC often translated to free publicity and increased sales. The 1980s were a transition period for music. MTV launched in 1981, and suddenly songs needed videos, which meant visual representation of lyrics that had previously existed only in listeners' imaginations. Some artists used this as an opportunity to push boundaries, while others got caught by surprise when something they thought was fine turned out to be controversial. Religious groups, parent organizations, and government bodies all got involved in deciding what was acceptable. The Parents Music Resource Center, founded in 1985, pushed for warning labels on albums. Radio programmers had standards and practices guidelines. MTV had to keep advertisers happy while also trying to seem edgy and cool. Artists found themselves navigating all these competing interests. Some decided to play it safe, others leaned into controversy, and some just made the music they wanted and dealt with the consequences. The ones who got banned often became the ones people remembered, which created a perverse incentive to be provocative. What's interesting is how many of these songs don't seem that shocking today. Olivia Newton-John singing about physical attraction, Queen members in drag, Neil Young criticizing corporate sponsorship. These feel almost quaint now, but in the context of the early and mid-80s, they were genuinely controversial, genuinely pushing boundaries. The decade established a lot of the frameworks we still use today for what's acceptable in music. The explicit content labels, the late-night rotation for provocative videos, the idea that artists might need to make different versions of their work for different audiences. All of that came out of these controversies. For many of these artists, getting banned was frustrating, but also validating. It meant they'd struck a nerve, that their work was being taken seriously enough to provoke a response. Madonna, Frankie Goes to Hollywood, and Queen all seemed to understand that controversy could work in their favor. They pushed boundaries intentionally, knowing it would get attention. Others, like Ian Dury or Neil Young, were genuinely trying to make a point and found themselves censored for it. They weren't courting controversy for marketing purposes. They had something to say and said it, and the establishment pushed back. Those cases raise more interesting questions about censorship and free expression. And then there were artists like Van Halen or Mötley Crüe who were just being themselves, doing what came naturally to them, and got banned for it. They weren't trying to make political statements. They just made rock and roll that was too wild for television. The variety of reasons for these bans shows how complicated censorship is. Is it worse to ban a song because you disagree with its politics, or because you think it's too sexual? Is an artist more deserving of support if they're banned for a serious message rather than for shock value? These questions don't have easy answers, and the 80s wrestled with them constantly. These 15 songs represent a moment in time when the music industry, television, and society at large were all trying to figure out new rules. MTV was creating the playbook as they went along. Artists were testing boundaries, and audiences were somewhere in the middle, sometimes outraged, sometimes titillated, sometimes just confused. Some of these bans seem silly in retrospect. Some seem understandable even now. All of them tell us something about the decade that produced them. The 1980s were conservative in some ways, pushing back against the permissiveness of the 70s. But they were also the decade of MTV and music videos, which opened up whole new ways for artists to express themselves and shock people. These controversial songs pushed music forward, even when they got banned. They established that music could be visual, political, sexual, and challenging, in ways that previous generations hadn't really attempted. They set the stage for the even more provocative music of the 90s and beyond. And for those of us who lived through it, they're a reminder of how different things were. When getting a song banned by the BBC or MTV was major news. When controversy could make a career. when the boundaries of acceptable music were still being negotiated, one shocking video at a time. If you enjoyed this look back at the most controversial music of the decade, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the music and culture that defined the 1980s. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.